Have you ever been in a shopping mall after hours? That echoing silence, the endless rows of darkened storefronts, the mannequins standing like silent sentinels in the gloom. It's a place designed for crowds, for noise, for commerce. But when it's empty, it transforms. It becomes something else. What if that emptiness wasn't truly empty? What if, to survive the night shift, you had to obey a set of rules so bizarre, so terrifying, that they stretched the very fabric of reality? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Tonight we have a story that perfectly blends the mundane with the utterly terrifying. It's a first-hand account from someone who took a job that seemed straightforward enough, a night security guard at a local shopping mall. But this mall, as he soon discovered, came with a very specific, very chilling set of instructions. The rules horror trope is a favorite in the creepypasta community, and for good reason. It speaks to that fear of hidden dangers, of arcane knowledge one needs to survive an otherwise normal-seeming situation. This particular story was submitted to me, and the writer has asked to remain anonymous, but he vouched for the truth of his experience, or at least the truth of how it felt to him. He was young, needed the money, and the graveyard shift at the Northwood Galleria Mall paid surprisingly well. He thought it would be boring, a lot of walking, maybe dealing with a leaky pipe or a tripped alarm. He was wrong. So, get comfortable, maybe turn down the lights. Let's step into his shoes and experience his first few nights at the Galleria and the list of rules that govern the darkness within. It all started, as these things often do, with desperation. I was flat broke, rent was overdue, and my diet consisted mainly of instant noodles and regret. So, when I saw the ad for a night security guard at the Northwood Galleria Mall, offering a surprisingly generous hourly wage, I jumped at it. No experience necessary, it said. Must be reliable and able to work solo. Sounded perfect for a night owl like me who preferred solitude. The interview was brief, almost cursory. The head of security, a grizzled older guy named Henderson, looked like he hadn't slept properly in years. He had tired eyes and a permanent frown etched into his face. He didn't ask many questions, mostly just sized me up, grunted, and slid a laminated sheet of paper across his desk. "These are the night orders for the Galleria," he said, his voice raspy. "Memorize them, live by them. Don't question them. Your life, and more importantly to the owners, the integrity of this place, depends on it. Any deviation, I thought it would be okay, just this once. Well, let's just say the turnover for this position is high for a reason." He tapped the sheet. "Your shift is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. You're the only one on site after 11 p.m. when the cleaning crew leaves. Any questions that aren't on this sheet are probably questions you don't want the answers to." I wanted to ask about the high turnover, about what integrity of this place really meant, but the look in his eyes, a sort of weary resignation mixed with something akin to fear, made me hold my tongue. I just nodded, took the sheet, and said I understood. My first shift was the following night. That evening, I sat in my crummy apartment and read the list. At first, I almost laughed. It seemed like a prank, some bizarre hazing ritual for the new guy. But Henderson hadn't seemed like the pranking type. The Northwood Galleria, night orders. 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Standard patrol with cleaning crew supervisor. Ensure all service entrances are secured by 11:05 p.m. precisely. No exceptions. 11:05 p.m. to 1 a.m. Patrol sector a main atrium, food court, east wing shops. Do not enter the old-time toy emporium after midnight, even if you hear noises. It's settling. 1 a.m. Return to security office. Review camera feeds. All camera feeds must be operational. If camera 13, children's play area, is static or looping, do not go to investigate. Make a note in the log and avoid the play area for the remainder of the shift. 1:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. Patrol Sector B. West Wing shops. Department store anchor. The mannequins in the main display window of Silas and Stone department store are sometimes active. Do not make eye contact for more than 3 seconds. If one appears to have moved significantly closer to the glass, leave Sector B immediately and do not return until 4 a.m. 3 a.m. to 3:15 a.m. The hum. You will hear it. It will resonate through the entire structure. During this period, remain in the security office with the door locked. Do not answer any knocks or calls, even if they sound like Henderson or other daytime staff. This is crucial. 3:15 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Patrol Sector C, Cinema Complex, Arcade, Service Tunnels Access Point. If you hear music from the arcade, specifically the old Jolly Jester pinball machine, reported via radio on Channel 4. Do not speak, just key the mic 3 times and vacate Sector C. 4:30 a.m. to 4:45 a.m. Lights in the food court may flicker and dim. You might smell something sweet, like cotton candy. Do not consume any food or drink you find left out, no matter how fresh it appears. Ignore any whispers you hear. They are not for you. 4:44 a.m. Precise. Ensure you are nowhere near the main fountain in the atrium. Customers report losing small items there during the day. At night, it sometimes tries to reclaim them. 5 a.m. Conduct a final sweep of all sectors. If you find any doors unlocked that you are certain you locked, do not relock them. Simply note it in the log. 5:45 a.m. Prepare the handover report. Henderson arrives at 6 a.m. Do not, under any circumstances, leave the security office after 5:50 a.m. until Henderson has arrived and verbally confirmed his presence. His voice can be mimicked. The safe word is Sparrow. If he doesn't use it, or uses the wrong word, do not open the door. Call the emergency number on the list. A direct line I later learned went to someone even higher up and scarier than Henderson. I read it over and over. The hum? Active mannequins? A fountain that reclaims items? It sounded insane. But the pay was good, and I desperately needed it. I figured I'd just do my patrols, keep my head down, and collect my paycheck. My first night was eerie. The mall after closing was a colossal, echoing tomb. The cleaners were a stoic bunch who barely spoke, just did their work, and left precisely on time, practically running for the doors. At 11:05 p.m., I was alone, utterly alone, or so I thought. The patrol of Sector A was uneventful, though the old-time toy emporium definitely gave me the creeps. Its windows were dark, filled with shadowed shapes of old-fashioned dolls and stuffed animals. I thought I heard a faint giggle from inside around 12:30 a.m., but I chalked it up to nerves and Rule 2 and kept walking. Back in the security office at 1 a.m., I checked the cameras. All operational. Camera 13, the children's play area, showed the brightly colored plastic tubes and ball pit, still and silent. So far, so good. Sector B was where things started to feel wrong. The West Wing housed the more upscale stores, including the large old Silas and Stone department store. Its main display window was enormous, filled with a dozen impeccably dressed mannequins. Men, women, even a couple of child-sized ones, posed in a faux dinner party scene. As I approached, I remembered Rule 4. Do not make eye contact for more than 3 seconds. I tried to just glance at them, but it was like they were magnetic. Their painted-on smiles seemed to widen in the dim ambient light. Their eyes, though glass, felt like they were tracking me. I did my sweep, my flashlight beam trembling slightly. On my way back past the window, I risked a longer look. One of the female mannequins, the one at the head of the table, seemed different. Her head was tilted at a slightly sharper angle. Her hand, which had been resting on the table, now seemed to be hovering just above it, fingers slightly curled. I blinked. Was I imagining it? I quickly looked away, my heart thudding. Significantly closer to the glass was the rule for leaving. This was just a tilt, right? I hurried out of Sector B, a cold sweat breaking out on my brow. At exactly 3 a.m., back in the relative safety of the security office, the hum started. It wasn't a sound so much as a vibration, a deep, resonant frequency that seemed to thrum up through the floor, through my bones, making my teeth ache. It was profoundly unsettling, deeply unnatural. It lasted for 15 agonizing minutes, then slowly faded. I didn't hear any knocks, thankfully. Sector C, the cinema complex, was dark, rows of empty seats stretching into nothingness. The arcade was even worse. The game cabinets stood like silent, hulking robots. My flashlight beam caught the Jolly Jester pinball machine in the corner, its painted, leering face seeming to mock me. I held my breath, listening. Silence. No music. I let out a shaky breath and continued. The service tunnels were just damp, concrete passages that smelled of mildew and something vaguely metallic. I didn't linger. 4:30 a.m. in the food court. As predicted by Rule 7, the lights began to flicker erratically. A wave of an intensely sweet smell, like burnt sugar and cotton candy, washed over me. It was cloying, almost nauseating. And then the whispers. Faint, sibilant, seeming to come from all directions and none at once. I couldn't make out words, just breathy, rustling sounds that made the hairs on my arms stand up. I clenched my jaw, focused on my patrol pattern, and ignored them as best I could. I definitely didn't touch the half-eaten burger I saw sitting on one of the tables, looking disturbingly fresh. Rule 8, the 4:40 a.m. fountain rule. I made sure I was far from the main atrium. I didn't want to know what reclaiming items looked like. The 5 a.m. sweep. I found the back door to the kitchen of Mama Rosa's Italian eatery in the food court slightly ajar. I was certain I had checked it earlier, but the cleaning supervisor had locked it. My stomach clenched. Rule 9. Do not relock them. Simply note it in the log. I made the note, my hand shaking. What was the point of this? What was I guarding against? Or what was being allowed in? 5:45 a.m. I was back in the office, filling out the handover. My nerves were frayed. At 5:58 a.m., a knock on the door. "Night, man. It's Henderson. Open up." My heart pounded. Rule 10. His voice can be mimicked. The safe word is sparrow. "What's the word, Henderson?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. Silence for a moment. Then a low chuckle from the other side of the door. "Don't be an idiot, kid. It's cold out here." Open the damn door. Canary, not sparrow. My blood turned to ice. I backed away from the door, fumbling for the emergency call button Henderson had pointed out on the wall panel. "Kid, you deaf?" I said canary. The voice was angrier now, the friendly tone gone. A heavy thud hit the door, as if someone had slammed their shoulder into it. I jabbed the call button. It beeped once. The thudding continued, louder now, accompanied by a strange, wet, snuffling sound. Then, abruptly, it stopped. Silence. A minute later, my radio crackled. "All clear, Nightguard. Henderson is en route. Do not open the door for any reason until visual confirmation and correct code. Maintain position." The voice was unfamiliar, cold, and official. At 6:05 a.m., the real Henderson arrived, looking more haggard than usual. He used the word sparrow, his eyes scanning the hallway behind him before he stepped inside. He glanced at the log, at my note about the unlocked door, at my pale face. "Rough night?" he asked, not unkindly. I just nodded, unable to speak. "They test the new ones," he said quietly, almost to himself. "See if they'll break the rules. Most do, or they just walk out and never come back." He sighed. "You made it through your first. That's something." I worked at the Northwood Galleria for 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks of escalating dread. Camera 13 in the children's play area went offline twice. Both times, when it came back on later in the shift, the balls in the ball pit were arranged in strange, almost runic patterns. I never went near it on those nights. The mannequins in Silas and Stone became bolder. One night, the entire dinner party had shifted, their bodies angled towards the glass, their painted smiles wider, more predatory. One of the child mannequins was pressed right up against the window, its little plaster handprint visible on the inside of the glass. I fled Sector B and didn't return, logging it as a major breach. Henderson just nodded grimly when he read the report. The Jolly Jester pinball machine played its tune once. A tinny, discordant rendition of Pop Goes the Weasel. I keyed the mic 3 times as instructed and got the hell out of Sector C, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I never found out what happened if you stayed. The whispers in the food court got louder, more insistent, sometimes sounding like they were saying my name. The thing that mimicked Henderson's voice tried again a few more times, sometimes sounding sad, sometimes angry, sometimes even trying to sound like a child crying for help. I never opened the door. The worst night was my last. It was during the 3 o'clock hum. I was in the security office, door locked. The hum was particularly intense that night, vibrating through my very core. And then I heard a soft scratching at the door. Not a knock, a scratch. Like fingernails on wood. "Let me in," a voice whispered. It was faint, feminine, like a young girl. "It's so cold out here." The hum, it doesn't like me. My blood ran cold. Rule 5. Do not answer any knocks or calls. This was a call. The scratching became more frantic. "Please. He'll find me. The jester told me you were kind." The jester? The pinball machine? My mind reeled. Then, the scratching stopped, and a new sound began. A wet, tearing sound followed by a soft, guttural gurgle. And then, a small, doll-like hand, pale and unnaturally jointed, slid under the crack at the bottom of the door. Its tiny fingers twitched. I screamed. I couldn't help it. I scrambled back, knocking over my chair, and hit the emergency call button repeatedly. The hand twitched again, then slowly, deliberately, retracted. The rest of the hum passed in a blur of terror. Henderson found me huddled in the corner when he arrived, using Sparrow loud and clear. I was babbling, incoherent. He took one look at me, at the deep scratch marks now visible on the outside of the door, and the dark, viscous fluid pooled just beyond the threshold, and he sighed. "Yeah," he said. "This place ain't for everyone." He told me I could collect my final pay later that day. He didn't need me to work out a notice. I didn't argue. I walked out of the Northwood Galleria Mall into the dawn, a free man, but I felt like a part of me was still trapped in there, in the echoing silence with the whispering entities and the things that moved in the dark. I never found out what truly haunted that mall. Was it ghosts? Demons? Something else entirely? Something that had seeped in from a place with different rules? I don't know, and I don't want to know. All I know is that sometimes, when I'm in a quiet place late at night, I can still feel that hum deep in my bones. And I always check the locks, twice. A truly terrifying ordeal. The systematic breakdown of reality through those inexplicable rules. The constant threat of unseen entities. It's the kind of experience that would stay with you forever. That image of the hand under the door is pure nightmare fuel. It makes you wonder about the mundane places we frequent every day. What secrets do they keep when the lights go out and the crowds go home? What unseen guardians or prisoners walk their empty halls? Thank you again to the anonymous writer for sharing this incredibly chilling story. I think we can all agree that some jobs are definitely not worth the paycheck. What did you all think? What was the creepiest rule on that list for you? Have you ever worked a night shift in a place that felt Off? Let me know your thoughts and your own eerie experiences in the comments below. I read as many as I can. If you enjoyed this creepypasta and want more tales from the dark side, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and tap the notification bell so you're alerted for our next story. Thank you for joining me tonight. Until next time, stay safe. Be aware of the rules, spoken and unspoken, and try not to listen too closely to the silence. Good night.